Some assets may be scrapped, I mean, without any value. Some may be sold with some values, right? Depreciation, transfers, all these kind of transactions that we will be dealing with the fixed asset. So we have seen important terms like depreciation key, depreciation areas, chart of depreciation, the asset class. Okay, we have seen all of them. The first and foremost important point is to create a chart of depreciation. Okay, and once we create the chart of depreciation, that has to be assigned to our the company code. And important thing in the case of depreciation, chart of depreciation is we cannot, we don't have an option to create our own chart of depreciation. Either you can take the existing, the standard SAP standard chart of depreciation. So SAP has given chart of depreciation for each of the country, one chart of depreciation for each of the country. So you can take that directly, or you can take a copy of it and create your own. So directly we don't have an option to create our own chart of depreciation. So that's the first important thing. The second important thing is, if at all we have any parallel currencies and parallel ledgers, those are to be considered. Of course, we have seen it. Once again, we will see them. Okay, so I'm getting into the system. Let's see. Let us see that. Okay, so I'm going into SPRO, financial accounting, asset accounting, organization structure, copy reference chart of depreciation and depreciation areas. Just execute the same thing. And here double click on the first one, copy reference chart of depreciation. Here we don't have an option to create the chart of depreciation, but you have an option to copy the same, copy from the standard. So select the same thing. For US, we have one chart of depreciation. You can take the same thing directly, or you can create, or you can copy the same thing. So 0 US is the one that for USA. So I'm selecting the same thing. Let me create chart of depreciation as uh, 1469. I'm just creating. I don't know if at all we have 1000. I think we can use. Not sure whether we have 1000 is already there. So we cannot use that. Okay. So I will say 1001. Okay. Just copy the same thing. Do you want to transport the number ranges? I don't want, I want to use my own number range. So just enter. Chart of depreciation is copied. Okay. So we have got our chart of depreciation 1001. Whatever are there, whatever are the standard, the depreciation areas associated with this 0 US, all are there in this chart of depreciation now, 1001. Okay, now let's go and see that. So before we get into that, if you want to change the description, we have got a standard description, and if you want to change, we can change using this specified description of chart of depreciation. Double click on that, and we have got our own. What is that? 1001. So just select that 101, 1001, and just change chart of depreciation. Okay, just say back. I've changed the description. Now here, the standard 0 US is copied to 1001 chart of depreciation. So whatever are the depreciation areas that are there in 0 US, all are there in now 1001. So we may have multiple depreciation areas. But for us, we don't require all of them. We want to delete few of them, or if you want, you can add them. So in order to do that, you will have to use this step: copy, delete depreciation areas, double click on it. Our chart of depreciation is 1001. Just press enter. You can see all these. There are 10 depreciation areas. So these are all the standard depreciation areas. We got it from 0 US. If you want to, you can create using just taking a copy of any one of these, but you cannot create brand new using a new entry option here. Okay, but maximum you have everything here. Most of the times we will delete whatever are not required. Normally we will delete whatever are not required. So that's about the depreciation, chart of depreciation. Okay, now when you see over here, you can see those two important things: target group and accounting principle. What is this target group? It is nothing but a ledger group. So for our company code, we have 0L and AL. I think AI is also there. These two ledgers have been assigned to our company code. We have seen that part. Okay, I'm opening another screen. Let me show you that. I'm going into the ledgers. Let's see whatever we have the ledgers. Define settings for ledgers and currency types. Just execute. Of course, we have 0L, and apart from that 0L, we have A1 or AI. I'm not sure what we have. So I'm just selecting A1. Let's see company code settings. Okay. Here I do have 1248. It means A1 is one of the ledger. And the other thing is AI. Let's see what is this. AI does not have 1248, so we can ignore AI. And we have another one called AL. So AL also has 1248. It means ultimately, what are the ledgers we have? We have 0L, A1, and AL. These are the three ledgers that we have. Okay, so we need to consider them. And we also have BL. This is called an extension ledger. So extension ledgers are not required to be considered. Okay, extension ledgers are not required to be considered. Okay, only the leading ledgers and non-leading ledgers are to be considered. we don't we don't have to consider the extension ledger. Let's see. I heard, I mean, I read this point somewhere, but I'm sure it is not required. Let's see after assigning the chart of depreciation to our company code. So so at the moment, let us consider only these three. Whatever are the ledgers there, all those have to be covered in our chart of depreciation. It means you need to have at least one depreciation area for each of those ledgers assigned to our company code. So it means we have three ledgers: 0L, A1, and AL. So at least you need to have three depreciation areas. Okay, you need to have three depreciation areas. And one more important point is, why do we require depreciation, um, the ledgers here? Why do we require a ledger? Suppose I want to use 0L for this, A1 for this, and AL for this. It means these ledger groups are defined in order to meet certain business requirements. Let's say IFRS. IFRS is one of the accounting principle. It says, it specifies certain rules to consider. So we will be covering that. It means in the depreciation, maybe IFRS says 10%, IAS may say 12%, other gap may say 15%. It means each accounting principle will take its own decision to consider the depreciation rate. So that way you may have different depreciation rate. It does not mean to have different depreciation, but you, just the chances are high to have a different depreciation. But you may find same depreciation rates in some cases as well. Okay, now 0L says 10% and A1 says 12%, AL says 15%. Now the moment I assign the ledger group, I can consider this ledger while pulling my financial statements. F.01. In F.01, we can see our financial statements by ledgers. That is that is what we have seen yesterday. So I'll open F.01 for financial statements. Here you can see the ledger. Here the financial statement version, and here you can see the ledger. So based on the ledger you can see. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to have ledger group. So one important thing in this case, we cannot assign the ledger directly. I want to assign this thing. I don't have an option to enter here. It is grayed out. So based on the accounting principle, we will have this. So what are the accounting principle? Yes, we have seen this part yesterday, but anyways, let me show you that. Going back here and parallel accounting, assign accounting principle to ledger. So we have 0L, which is nothing but gap.